Hey. That was stupid. I hated that. Hey, it's Jay, and I'm back with another build video for you. This build is of a restaurant located in the penthouse in San Myshuno. You know what I'm talking about? It's the better of the two. Fountain View is what it's called. I believe it's called Fountain View. Double check me on that. If you guys notice that the angle is off from my intro where I wrote that is because I've done this 3 times.
Honey, you've got a big storm coming.
So that's why the angle's slightly off. If you notice that in the speed build portion I sound like I've said these things before and it's super rehearsed, that's because I did. But yeah, I hope you guys like the building of Défaillance. What is it? The building of Défaillance in The Sims 4. I'll explain what that means in the video. Hope you guys stick around and I'll see you at the end. Alright, so we're starting on the build here. So, picked the penthouse in San Myshuno just because I loved it a lot. I think it looks super cool. The architect's super cool. But it's just so big and I can't like fathom putting a house in such a flat. Like I need like multiple floors. So I thought it would suit a restaurant more. There I just had to reopen a couple seconds ago. I just had to reopen the lot because it wasn't letting me place walls, so that was a fun little glitch. For some reason penthouses and apartments in general like really lag my game, and then with my recording software it was just like not having it. So I kept most of the architecture in place. It was more of like a renovation I guess than like a full build, just because I kept like most of the walls. I added a couple, so I built it there, but like that spot behind the elevator was perfect for like a pantry sort of area, so I kept it there, and it made sense for the pantry to be right next to the kitchen, which is where in the original build that was the bathroom, and then the kitchen was right beside it like it is here. Extended the kitchen a bit just to be able to fit those extra restaurant cookers, I guess you could call them, stovetops, and then there's a fully functional kitchen in there as well. So here I'm just doing the entryway. I wanted it to be kind of separate just because there is such a large open space and like huge walls. It was kind of daunting. So I wanted to separate it a little bit, so I made the entryway separate from the rest of the building. That was like a perfect little spot for those waiter stations. I was super happy with how that turned out. And then here I'm just putting the bathroom, which is pretty self-explanatory. Those stalls are really big. Like, they're stalls, so they need to be, but it was kind of a tight fit, and I couldn't exactly move it just because if I moved it the width way, it would just look weird. There would be no way to do that, I don't think, and then I couldn't move it forward because there was that big door into like the greenhouse kind of room, so it ended up being kind of tight in there. But I mean, it's a bathroom. Like, nobody goes to a restaurant and judges it on its bathroom. So here I'm just setting up the reception area where you wait. I'm assuming ends up being quite a classy, fancy place, so I'm assuming there's sometimes quite a wait. And you definitely have to name drop in order to get a seat here. So I'm just setting up some nice places to sit. And yeah. Sorry if I'm not as energetic. This is the third time I'm trying to record this. So I'm trying to remember all the important things I said the first 2 times so I don't forget them. So here, yeah, I use those chairs a lot. I find the inability to match swatches in this game when you're building so much. Like, this whole build ends up being a lot of woods, a lot of browns, and the fact that there's so many different colors of browns that don't match is like insane to me. I'd rather cut down the amount of browns we have and just have more matching ones. Like, it's insane. Like, how long do we have to say this for? Like, I hate being like a person that's like, oh my god, EA, do exactly what we want. It's just like with things that we've been saying for years, it's just like, you know, it seems silly. Especially when we got spoiled in like Sims 3 with creative style, which I understand. Imagining the Sims 4 with the creative style, it would break. You wouldn't be able to run this game. But even like the Sims 2 had like, you pick the swatch of the wood frame and then the swatch up top. Even having that so that you could have like similar wood frames, because they do have like wood styles that have a bunch of matching furniture, but the accents on it or like a bed doesn't match what it matches with, which makes no sense. Like you could have like a hot pink accented end table, but the matching wood swatch in a bed is like yellow. Like it's like, doesn't make any sense. And here we find that more with the tables, trying to find a table swatch that match those benches, because I really like, those are these spa day tables. I really like them, and they just like didn't match. So I end up sticking not with that dark brown, I end up going lighter there, and adding them with the dine out tables, because the dine out tables have the longer ones and those wood swatches kind of match. But even like there, like that's like the what are they called? Like the benches are for dine out. So you'd think like those matching swatches would like work. And yet, so here I'm dividing them. I thought it'd be like a nice kind of like solitude place, table to sit with like a date or something. You can hand out your divorce papers or tell her you're filing for custody, you know, all that fun stuff. And like pretend peace. Like, you know, the people next door are listening to you and can still see you. But just that ideal of being like alone and separate is nice. I was gonna do the half walls. They didn't work because they weren't on the grid properly. Like I would have to do the halfway, and I like those better anyways. I think they add to the style. So yeah, here I'm trying to find a wood floor that would work. Ended up going with the darker one. The lighting at the end helps it a lot. Right now I just have the Right now I just have the white lights down, which I use just for being able to see where I'm placing things. So when I come back in, I bring my sim here to edit the lighting, because you have to do that. You can't just edit lighting. Yeah, and I use the spa day bars outside as well. So the reason I decided to do a restaurant today is just because it, like, honestly, thinking about it, is one of my favorite packs. And that's like an unpopular opinion. And I know it's an unpopular opinion because the pack is broken. But the amount of times I find myself like wanting to do a rags to riches and using restaurants is so often, and then you get to a point where you just get frustrated with it, and because it doesn't work, and then you give up, and it's just a whole thing. But for the beginning part, it's great. When you have 2 tables, it's amazing, and then you get up to 4, and like people just stop showing up, or people just stop working, or customers won't sit down, or customers won't be seated, or all of that. So it's frustrating because I know it came out early years, which is like not the Sims best time. So I understand that. I understand they're still finding their groove, still releasing things that shouldn't have been released. But I just like, I want an overhaul, and I know I'm not gonna get an overhaul. So it's just like, but I'll get over it. I'll get over it. I still love the pack. I still highly suggest, if you like gameplay that you don't just use once, it's a really good game pack if you don't have it, because I know some people join the Sims later and just have the later ones. I think it's a really, really good game pack, and if it does work, it's amazing. It's just that if it does work question. That, like, I can't even imagine. I love this restaurant, and I encourage you to go down to my gallery, download it, and visit there with your Sims. But the idea of owning and running this restaurant is a nightmare, because there's so many tables that guaranteed they won't work. Like, guaranteed. Like, your chef won't show up, people won't sit down, you'll get a critic that you just can't speak to. So I'd like this place, I have this place in my game now to go and visit when I'm doing my legacy stuff and my story stuff, but God, to run it, you couldn't pay me. It's because it would break my game. Like, high-key, every time I have a semi-successful restaurant, I'm worried about my game breaking. So I changed those windows, which is a really, like, give it up to EA, because I've been kind of knocking on them. The way that did they always let you change those windows? Is it like actual apartments you can change? Maybe I'm literally so late to the party. I'm glad I could change those windows, is the point. The other ones just did not fit the vibe. And I don't know why they were there originally, because they don't fit the vibe, like, before I even worked on it. Like, all the giant windows, and then you just have, like, those ones. It doesn't fit. So I'm glad I could change those, which you may have been able to do the entire time, but I'm just thinking about apartments where I don't think you can. So I'm literally so late to the party. It's fine. It's fine. So here I'm trying to decide what to put on this giant wall. I like the high walls. I think it gives it a level of class. I think it gives it a level of, you know, but the only downside to it is they're so large. Like, building with them up to do this kind of stuff, it doesn't seem like it's showing in speed build, which I was worried about. I thought you guys would like get vertigo from watching it just spin around all so often. But it was so frustrating. It's like you turned it one way and there's a giant wall in your face. So the large walls were very daunting, and finding stuff to put places was hard, which we'll come into in a bit. Like even this wall was hard. Decided just to throw up a couple menus, which I don't know if makes very much sense for the style of this now that I'm thinking about it, just because they're chalkboards and it's like supposed to be like a classy place, but it's fine. It looks fine. I just needed something above those doors. Those doors look like tiny dollhouse doors without anything there. I think those bottles add class too. I like them behind the bars. The outside area is my favorite area. I love this whole build. I'll just say that. I'm really proud of this build. I think it turned out really awesome. I didn't even know if I was going to post it, to be honest. I had an idea to do a restaurant build and I was like, I'll record it. If it turns out fine, it turns out fine. But I really liked how it turned out. Like this is one of the ones that I'm very, very proud of. But the outside is my favorite. And it's like easy to tell now. It's like cool to imagine like eating out there, looking over the city. But at nighttime, I add some like really cool lights, and I think it looks awesome. I love those added trays there. I think they have like, they make it look more real and more like worked in. Like the servers are just like throwing their trays, or they pick them up to take them out to the tables and stuff like that. I think that's such like a neat, nifty idea. I like my builds to look somewhat lived in. I like don't like it to look like an IKEA display, which some Sims builds can end up looking like. I wanted it to look used and actually visited. I did that in the kitchen. There's not many other places I could do that. I was thinking if you guys did place this and you wanted it to look more lived in, you could use that synthetic food rug and throw it in the pantry. I think that would look kind of cool. It's like, because if you've ever worked in a restaurant, like every day, no matter how much you clean, there's food all over the floor in there. Like you can't help it. So here's like the party space, because I have the larger tables there. When I worked in a restaurant, that's what we had. The bar tender used to have those tables during the day. So I thought that'd be in like the enclosed greenhouse space would be a good place to put those tables. And here I'm struggling to find a display for that wall. But I figured it out. After a lot of finessing, I figured it out. I found this large billboard that's like an ad, but I figured it could also like be like a giant sign for the restaurant. It doesn't say the same thing in Simlish. I actually have a name for this restaurant, which is what I believe it says on those signs, and it's Défaillance. Défaillance. Now, before you think I'm bilingual, I'm not. I googled it. But it actually means glitches in French, so I thought that fit a restaurant in the Sims 4. So here I'm adding that lighting I was talking about, the different lighting. For these little candle guys, I just size them down and move objects them up. The poles with the lights, I'm in love. I think that makes like such a great atmosphere outside. Like just imagine sitting there and looking over the city skyline at night with your besties. Like that'd be awesome. But like I said, I can't afford to eat there, so it's fine. Yeah, this place would be super expensive. Like even if you play in it, like markup would be insane. But you could do that. I just like the idea of starting like putting this in your game and starting to play it, and it starts at 1 star. Like they put all this effort in, and they're like a 1-star restaurant. They're the cheapest restaurant because nobody will eat there if they're not. Here I realized I hadn't saved it all. And I was like an hour and a half into the build, so I was like, ooh, maybe I should do that real quick. So I did quickly save there. Trying to find a rug. Trying to find a rug for this area was a lot. It was a lot. But I think it looks good in the end. I didn't want too brown, but it also needed to match, so I had to have some brown. So I thought the white lightened up the area a lot. And if I chose like a darker brown rug. That board, love that board. I love all the things that came in Eco Lifestyle, to be honest. Like it's so nice. And I think all of them fit with this like exposed brick look. So here I'm moving my self sim in to change the lighting. We're gonna go through the screenshots because that ending, like I said, was abrupt just because, or the ending will be abrupt just because my game started freaking out. Like you'll see me try to upload it to the gallery and it just was not having it. So I end up ending the speed build here, and then we'll jump into screenshots here. So this will just give you a nice look at the different parts of the restaurant. I really like how this turned out. I honestly am in love with this place. I think it looks so cool. The idea of like eating here in like a penthouse is so awesome to me. Like I feel like this is like a Gordon Ramsay, like go on to Hell's Kitchen to own this restaurant. Like that's how I feel about it. I really am proud of how it turned out and how it looks. And if the pack worked, I'd own it and play through it. But I'm fine just to have my Sims visit here for a nice night out. Yeah, I love those lights outside. I think they're so cool. And even like the vibe inside kind of matches that dreamy aspect, the dreamy ambiance. But yeah, so that's the speed build portion. Anyways guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you guys liked the build as much as I clearly did. I was very proud of this one. I think it turned out really awesome. You can find this build and all my other builds on my gallery page. It's the same as my user page, themccsims. And you can put this in your game and have your Sims visit it. If you want to try to run it, that's all you. I can't be held accountable for any glitches or game-breaking things that happen because that's the pack. If you like this video, I'd really appreciate if you could drop me a like, maybe hit subscribe if you want to see what I have coming up next. On Thursday, I will be having a video where I build a house for specific Sims. So I hope you guys check in for that. I'm hoping to do more personal one-on-one playing videos where I play, you watch me play, versus just a speed build. So I'm going to be testing that out this week, and I hope that you guys stick around for it. Anyways guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you Thursday. Bye! Listen,